What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be dyeing this disc, and we actually have a special guest joining the channel. I believe the first one besides Gannon. I guess you can count Gannon, I don't know, but the first guest on the channel. He's going to be showing us kind of a complete tutorial on how to dye disc. Let's get after it.
What's up guys, my name is Brock. I'm going to be with Riley today. We're going to be dyeing a couple of discs, so I'm just fly through the stuff really quick, what we're going to be using today. So this right here is Pro Chem dye powder. We got 9 different dye colors that we're going to be going through today. So right now they're not very colorful, but once we mix it with the acetone here, it's going to get a lot more colorful. And just a couple of instruments we're going to be using. These are just glass dropper tubes. So we're going to put the acetone with the dye mixture in here and get those mixed up. And this is what's going to hold the dye. And then these are just a couple of instruments. Right here we got a 1/8 of a teaspoon. You can use whatever you want. The measurements are kind of, drop as you go, as we'll find out. This is just like a little syringe that I got that I use for the acetone over here. The funnel is what I use to make sure the dye powder makes its way into the glass without getting messy. The toothpicks are what we're going to use to like swirl the dyes. The glue, I do glue bed dyes, so we're going to look at that in a little bit. These are just cake pans. And then finally, to check out the dye, or if there's any accidents, I just have a roll of toilet paper. Step 1, we're going to do the dandelion. I'm going to walk through with you guys here on how I create the dyes. Dandelion is going to be like a bright yellow.
Bright yellow.
So right now it looks like a mustard yellow, but it gets a lot more vibrant once the acetone reacts with it.
Okay.
And we'll get to see that here in a second. As you can see, I wear gloves. It's not toxic or anything like that, the dye, but it will stain your fingers and it'll be on there for weeks. So you want to be very careful. I usually take about a 1/8 of a teaspoon like that. What we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead up into this funnel, and I just have to rinse the holes in there. And then I'm going to get a little bit more since we have a little bit of a bigger thing here. The same process here. Get into that funnel. And tap it in like that. And then that is step 1. So now, as you can see, we got the dye into our little vial here. The next step is you got to be careful with acetone too. We're going to go ahead and get acetone. I fill up the entire vial. Again, it doesn't matter. A lot of people, like when you start out, you're going to go like, what's the milliliters? How much of this are you using? You really have to eyeball it, especially when you're starting out. And we'll see in a second.
Trial and error, kind of.
Yeah, it's just trial and error. It's like, I'm going to stop it right there for now. We can always add more acetone, but you can't take acetone away. We're going to take this. You're going to make sure that it's completely shut, and you're just going to give it a little shake like that. You want there to be nothing on the bottom. So you see how there's no solids left on the bottom there? That's exactly how you want it to be. We're going to shake it up. You're going to pull out the vial like this. You're going to pinch in right here, put it into the top of the liquid. You're going to get a little pull like that. And we're going to bring it here. So you see how there's that little center part where there's that dye? That's not good. That's going to show up when you dye a disc. You want it to all look like that outside yellow. I kind of did that on purpose just to kind of show us here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add more acetone.
So this is kind of where like the trial and error comes in of trying to get it to that perfect.
Yep. So then just mix it up again. Make sure none of it's stuck to the bottom. As you can see, there's no dye on the bottom. If it's stuck to the bottom, you just need to keep shaking it a little bit more. We're going to give it another nice little drop. So you see we still have a little bit dye right there in the middle, like the dye powder. You can see it's a little bit less. So we just need a little bit more acetone in here.
It's bringing me back to like the 7th grade lab days of like mixing crap together.
Yeah, no, this is the most tedious part of the dyeing process, because this amount of dye is going to last you like a couple months, depending on how much you're dyeing. If you're dyeing weekly, like that amount's going to last you a long time, because we're only going to be using, 8 to 10 drops per dye, and you got to think of how many drops are in here. So you see how the middle of that is barely, you can barely see it. Yellow is a really, really bright color, so you're not going to be able to tell very well, but that's what you want it to look like. So we're going to go ahead and make the rest of these dyes. The middle of that, there's not too much powder there. You can't really tell, like you can tell with that, where there's a lot of powder, a little bit. So this dye is basically done, and we're going to go ahead and get the rest of these done here.
Perfect. Okay. All right, we got all these sick colors here. We're going to be starting with the Zone Color Glow or Mega Glow. You want to tell us how we're doing it and kind of the process with it?
So I like to use clear glue. You can use white glue, but I don't think it works as good. So yeah, what we're gonna do, we're gonna just start out with a glue bed. We're just gonna be dumping glue in here. There's no exact amount. You don't want to use too much or too little. I think that's about good. You want it to just be filling up a little bit. The dye that we're gonna be doing right now, what it'll look like, and you guys will see on the video, Riley kind of wants black here for like the moon. And then right here on the rest of the zone where it kind of spaces out from here to here, we're gonna do like a flame design. So when you're doing a dye, you got to be thinking it's got to be inverted from here. You got to look here. You see all those shadows?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all gonna be bubbles.
Okay.
So you got to make sure there's no huge bubbles. I don't see any. There's always going to be bubbles. These ones won't really show up. All right, so we're gonna start out with the black dye here. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and start dropping. So the key to this is it's fine to over drop on top of the dye, but you want to make sure there's no spots on here where there's no dye at all, because then it's going to show like the white through the disc. As you can see, the side is kind of done where like the moon is, but it's not completely level, so we're just going to keep dropping like this. And again, you can see like if I drop a little bit of dye on top there, it's gonna be perfectly fine. You just wanna make sure that all this dye is kind of covered up. Right there, you got a little spot. One more drop there, and one more there, and there. I think that's about good for like where the moon will go. So as you can kind of see, the moon's gonna go here. So that whole side of the disc, we might need a little bit more actually. So we're gonna be done with the black right now. I'll go ahead and put that back. And then now we kind of need to think about where the flame is gonna go. So flame is gonna go here. We're gonna start with red, then we're gonna go to orange, and then we're gonna go to yellow. So we're thinking about that right here logically. Red is gonna go right here. So right there in the dye, we're gonna go ahead and put a layer of red here. Also be very careful with how you lean this over the top of the dye. You don't wanna get any colors in unnecessary areas. Let's go a line across like this. The stronger colors are going to prevail, so you want to be careful with your red when you're getting it close to this black over here. Or you want to be careful with the black going into the red, because it will be obviously a stronger color. Orange right here coming up next.
And then do you want to start with like darker colors, kind of like you did?
It doesn't necessarily matter. You kind of want to do it off the design. I usually start with lighter colors and go lighter colors all the way on the bottom. It depends on the dye, really.
Okay.
But for this dye, I just did the black first, just so I needed to line it up.
Yeah.
And then if I did like a layer of yellow, if I put red on top, it's gonna show. But if I did a layer of red, if I put yellow on top, it's not gonna show as well.
Okay.
So you just want to be cautious of that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do orange right here. We're just gonna start off. Orange is a little bit of a lighter color than this red. We're gonna do it on top of that red. That way they kind of intermingle a little bit. And then Riley likes orange, so we'll just make sure there's extra orange here.
Love it.
Oh yeah. One. Can't have too much orange.
Never can.
We got the yellow here, and we're just gonna do that little last part of yellow at the top. See how light yellow is?
Oh wow.
Once you pull it out of the dye, you'll see actually how bright that yellow is. I'll use my phone flashlight so we can kind of see it a little bit better. You're not gonna be able to tell between like the yellow and the orange and the red right here. We got black on this side, and that's gonna be like the crescent moon. And then we got the red, the orange, and the yellow. And now the next thing to do, we're just gonna mix it up. You gotta make sure the colors don't intermingle, because if we're doing a swirl design, that would be fine. But we're gonna do a flame design. So we're gonna start here and just kind of make these little lines, pulling the dye through. And you pull it out. And honestly, like we were talking about before, it's a lot of trial and error. It's a little bit hard to see in person and on camera what this is going to look like, but you can kind of see the flames a little bit. And these designs, you can kind of do whatever you want with them. It really depends on what you're looking for. We're gonna do another one here in a minute where I'm gonna do like a one with all of the different colors, and you'll see that another way to like blend it. But right here for this one, you can kind of see how the flames go like that. And then there's this black little crescent moon over here, and it'll show up like this. So this will hopefully be covered in the black moon right there. And then we'll have the flames on that side. Last final little thing to do, I'm gonna flip this over so we're not mixing colors. I'm just gonna swirl this black a little bit, just to make sure the black isn't too ugly in here. It's nice and mixed thoroughly. Bring some of this over here. Just give a nice little swirly color to the black. Last part we're gonna do here, you're gonna grab the disc like this with your thumbs, pulling it apart. This is probably the hardest part. Just gotta lay it into the bed. So you can see first contact right there. I'm gonna lay it really nice and slow. And this can make or break your die. Lay it right in there like that. And then what I like to use is usually one of these. I'll just throw right in the middle to like weigh it down to make sure it stays. And we're just gonna go ahead and leave that for 24 hours. And you guys will see it in about 24 hours. It'll be a sick die.
Let's go. Super sweet. We still got 12 more hours to go just to let them sit and hang out for a little bit. All right, guys, it's been about a week now, I think, and we're finally getting around to editing the video. Super sick. Look how it turned out. Flip the camera around here for you guys, but absolutely insane. Look at the swirls in the black, how it fades up into the red, orange, into the bright yellow up top. So sick, especially when it glows and when you got that like a light in front of it. So sick. Huge shout out to Brock. I'll throw some of his other work that he does right up here on the screen. Absolutely insane. He does a whole bunch of these types of designs and just a whole bunch of really cool things. And I have to give, like I said, the biggest shout out to Brock. He did start a YouTube channel, so make sure you guys go give him a subscribe. We are collabed on this video, so make sure you guys go subscribe to him. Like I said, absolutely insane. He does sell these, so if you guys are interested, go hit him up. I'll pop up his Instagram here. Like I said, he does a whole bunch of things. Yeah, make sure you guys go give him a follow and subscribe. Absolutely insane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this style of video, a little bit different than other videos out on the channel, but I do know we are playing a tournament this week, the Rumble. So stay tuned for that. That vlog will be up in probably a couple weeks because a lot of big things going on in life right now. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things, and as always, be nice to yourself.